Alrighty then, happy Columbus Day edition. Of course, this is the Come Sail Away edition. If YouTube weren't such fascists, I could have played you a little sticks. But since we can't have any music, or else can't even play background music in a video, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Right side broadcasting has to go mute at a President Trump rally because they're playing music in the hall. Even though you got the commentator, there's the music in the hall. And here's the thing. This is why I'm angry. I actually do support copyright. However, number one, my use is statutorily protected fair use under 17 United States Code Section 107. Number two, the alleged copyright owners that YouTube is relying on, they don't own the copyrights. Okay, I have explicit permission from the copyright owner of Anthem for the Underdog, and guess what? All of the copyright owners that protested my use of that song, I called my friend Jill, none of them own the copyright, and now she knows why her royalty check all of a sudden went So she's following up with that. YouTube, Google is an absolute disgrace. Just like Fascist Book, just like the Twatter. So we had a shill conference down at Trump Doral this week. I was in hysterics. Okay, first of all, Fat Drawn Strike shows up with a suit and no shirt. I mean, what guy wears a suit with no shirt? Period. Much less to a conference, or, the black tie banquet at the conference. Are you kidding me? A shirtless suit? Please, Brian, get a hold of yourself, pal. Secondly, they had a video playing in a room that was way far away, that nobody even knew it was playing, and all of a sudden, that's the big story. And I think it's Carpe Diem that did it. He's banned from the Twitter now, by the way. I think, and they call them memes, but they're not really memes, they're videos. Okay, I think that was a Carpe Diem video. It's from the second Kingsman movie. If you don't know the Kingsman movies, and you like James Bond, and you like to see spoofs of James Bond, they're fun movies. And it's an incredibly violent scene. I mean, he's in the church, and he shoots everybody and stabs them with knives and pokers and all sorts of things. It's incredibly violent, but it's cartoonish. It's no more real than Daffy Duck blowing his bill and having his bill go around and have to put it back. It's cartoon violence. It's not real violence. And no, it is not inciting people to violence. And the left is all, this happened to Trump Doral. Oh no! Meanwhile, no one at the conference even saw it. It was 100% a shill-op. And how do I know this? Because guess who was right there with a complete analysis within seconds of the story being broken on, I don't know if ABC or CBS or one, I think it was ABC that broke it. All of a sudden, it's up on the Drudge Report. And, guess who had a tweet laying it all out and having all his arguments in a row? Yeah, well, you can go find out who. Shill number one. And it's like, you people, seriously, it's like Beans having, guys, wait till you find out the point I found in footnote 8 on page 167 of this big legal brief, and she's not legally trained, and all of a sudden, within minutes of it dropping, she's got, the bombshell from footnote 8 on page 167. Please, no, doesn't work that way. This is all scripted. It's Mad Magazine, Spy versus Spy. And the fact that these are white hat spies doesn't take away from the fact that they're shills and they're propagandizing, and why can't we all just tell the truth? Speaking of just telling the truth, ABC News, massacre in Syria! Oh, sorry. I mean, target practice at a gun range 3 years ago. Oh, sorry. We deeply regret the fact that we were called faking the news. That we were caught faking the news. Seriously, they had a machine gun night at a gun range in Kentucky in 2016. And everybody that had the proper permits, and believe me, they're not only difficult to get, they're unbelievably expensive to get. So everybody that had the proper permits could go and fire machine guns, and they had incendiaries and the whole thing, and there's boom, big booms, and it was just a fun night, right? Yeah, well, ABC News got hold of that footage and ran it as the Turks invading Syria and killing the Kurds. These people have no scruples, zero integrity, zero scruples. All they care about is #1 ratings, which means money, because that is the first priority. Do not kid yourself. These are not ideologues. These are profit mongers. So #1 ratings to get money. #2, pushing that false news agenda. Got to push that false news agenda. Fake news, fake news, fake news. Got to propagandize. Well, the American public has embarked upon a journey of discovery this week, thanks to the CNN whistleblower and, once again, James O'Keefe. I don't know if you've seen it. I posted it on my page. It's on YouTube. It's part 1 of the Project Veritas video. I think his name is Porch. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's P-O-A-R-C-H, but I think he pronounces it Porch. Kudos to him for having the integrity. And he's like, why can't we just tell the truth? Why can't we just report the news? CNN, when it started, when Ted Turner started CNN, it was a great news organization. It changed the entire universe for broadcast news. It was the first 24/7 news channel, and it had both positive and negative effects. And the negative effect, the #1 negative effect, is that there's this ravenous maw that constantly needs to be fed. Okay? Gotta have new, gotta have new, gotta have new, gotta have new. So, because they constantly have to have new, they expose themselves pushing the false agenda when they only report the same story over and over and over for a long period of time. Okay? There's a school shooting that was done by a white male, it runs for days. 3 gangbangers in Chicago get shot dead, you don't even see it on CNN. But if there's a school shooting by a troubled young man, boom, weeks of coverage, weeks. If a white cop shoots a black kid, 6'3" and like 250 pounds, who has wrestled his gun away, who is leaning into his police car and is trying to wrestle the officer's gun away, if the officer shoots that young black man, he's a didn't do nothing, even though he just robbed a convenience store. And now we've got not only wall-to-wall coverage for weeks, but we've got race riots, we've got the Reverend Jackson. Yeah, Rush, if you steal my memes, I can steal your intonations. And Al Not So Sharpton showing up, I'm here to help, with a freaking carboy full of gasoline to throw on the fire. So they betray themselves by the stories that they run over and over and over and over and over. In this video by Project Veritas is incredible because it is actual recordings of the 9 a.m. phone call that sets the agenda for the day that is led by Jeff Zucker, the CEO of Fake News CNN, who, by the way, hates Donald Trump and has for years, primarily because Zucker comes up to about here on Trump. Okay, there's a picture of them together. And Zucker is a classic little man's disease. He, believe it or not, is the one that greenlit The Apprentice at NBC, but then it became so popular and Trump got all the attention and Zucker was like, I was the one that said we should put him on the air. Don't I get any credit? So he's had a hard-on for Donald Trump for years. And the CNN, fake news CNN news coverage reflects that. In the video, go watch the whole video. It's really worth watching. But they even say, forget about that story. We're going to focus on impeachment. And all of these moves, they all lead to impeachment. Everything is impeachment, 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 impeachment. Unbelievable. You know what else is unbelievable? California is unbelievable. After Gavin Newsom made it easier for people's guns to be grabbed last week, and after PG&E killed a man, there's going to be a big lawsuit, literally killed a man by turning off the power to his house, and he was on a ventilator. He died 12 minutes after the power went out to prevent forest fires. Well, you know what prevents forest fires, California? Clear out your underbrush. Clear it out. Set fire breaks. Set backfires. Clear it out. Unbelievable. Completely anti-science, completely anti-forestry, completely anti-environmental. If it's green, it's good. We can't cut it. I have zero sympathy for the California authorities when there's a big forest fire. You know who I have sympathy for? The poor citizens of California whose government betrays them every chance it gets. But you know what? Why do you people keep voting Democrat? I know a lot of you don't. I know there's a lot of Republicans in California. But the numbnuts have to wake up. California, you have to do two things. Number one, you've got to stop the illegals from voting. Number two, you've got to stop this nonsense where the top two vote getters in the primary run off against each other because it's always a Democrat versus a Democrat, and you're going to slide into the sea if that keeps up. So Newsom's not happy enough taking guns and killing people by turning off the power. What does he do today? He signs a law that allows Californians that are here illegally. Okay, if they're here illegally, they're not Californians. Because Californians means that you are a citizen of the state of California, and they're not citizens. They're here, they live here, they're denizens, but they're not citizens. But nope, they are going to be able to serve on government boards in California. So, when you go to the DMV or go to an appellate board or you go down to your local city hall to get something done, maybe you need a code supervisor to come and look at your proposed building addition, or you need some government service, or you have an issue with a government service and you need to take it to a California board, you might just be dealing with an illegal who's going to say, no sé nada, yo gringo, no, gringo gets no. California, you're committing suicide. You are committing cultural and political suicide. Gavin Newsom is an absolute horror show. You know who else is a horror show? Californian Representative Pencil Neck Shifty Shift. He kicks Matt Gaetz out of the impeachment inquiry, the impeachment hearing. Kicks him out. The hell with due process. Fifth Amendment, 14th Amendment, what the hell are you talking about? We've got no due process in America. Schiff is like, Republicans, we don't need no stinking Republicans. Unbelievable. And we don't want the president's lawyers, we don't want the Republicans or the president's lawyers to sit in on the hearings because then they might find out what we're up to and we don't. And he has the temerity, the effrontery, the chutzpah to refer to what they're doing as the grand jury phase. Well, grand juries are actually in the Constitution, and yes, grand jury proceedings are protected from public view. All that comes out of a grand jury, you don't know who's on a grand jury, and all that comes out of grand jury is an indictment. So Shifty Schiff with his made up, it's because it's a made up committee. Okay, this committee does not exist. What the Democrats are doing is a complete legal fiction. It's a complete fantasy. It's made up in their febrile imaginations. The committee does not exist. It's a committee of three committees. It doesn't exist. The House did not vote to create this committee. The House did not vote to give this committee any authority whatever, much less do what it's doing. This is going to be taken to the courts, and the courts are going to slap the Democrats silly. Because, and Schiff's like, this is grand jury. This is like a grand jury. No, the only thing that's going to come out of this is articles of impeachment. But you can't find out anything about the process. And just like in a grand jury, the defendant doesn't have any right to present any testimony or even hear what the testimony the prosecution is given. It's a freaking kangaroo court. And they have the temerity to say that President Trump is trashing the Constitution. These people use the Constitution for toilet paper, and they have since November of 2008. Maria Bartiromo came out. She had said yesterday that the FISA report was going to drop on Friday. She has subsequently tweeted, apparently FBI and DOJ have some classification issues, so it's going to come out by the month's end. Not a big deal. Today's the 14th. Instead of coming out in 5 days, it's going to come out in a couple weeks. Well worth doing, because they are committed to getting out as much as they can, because we actually don't want sources and methods to be redacted, and they're not going to be allowed to redact things that are embarrassing to them. They're only going to be allowed to redact things that actually do impinge upon national security. So don't freak out when you see that the report's not coming out until month end, because it needs to go through a classification review at DOJ, FBI. We actually do want that, because unlike the Democrats, who they hate you, they hate me, they hate America, unlike them, we actually do support the rule of law. That's all I've got for you tonight. Until next time, God bless you. God bless these United States. Keep fighting the good fight.